Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Welcome to Black and Nuanced. My name is Georgette.
Oh yeah, my name's Snap.
Oh my gosh, here you go. And you're listening to Black and Nuanced Pod, dispelling the ideas that all Black people are monoliths, because we're not. We bring our varying perspectives to pop culture, relationships, and things we go through that we can't always name. Welcome to Black and Nuanced, powered by powered by Excitement Radio. And I have a special guest on. I have my friend Corey Harris. He and I went to school together. Corey, what it do?
How's it going, Georgette? How you doing? I'm super excited to be a part of your show today, and as you know, I'm a supporter and definitely a fan of yours.
Oh, thank you. That's what's up. Well, so Corey, so for Snap and the listeners, can you just tell us real quick a little bit about yourself? What do you do? Whatever you want to say. Free reign.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, you know, we're friends from school. I'm a proud graduate of HBCU. That's the Norfolk State University.
Yes.
I'm a father of a 14-year-old daughter, and I enjoy mentoring and working with youth. As far as professionally, I work for the Department of Defense.
Okay, look at you. So official, so official. So, Snap, I wanted to bring Corey on because Corey, he's one of my guy friends that I kind of like bounce ideas off of, and he's very opinionated as well when it comes to certain things. But I thought it would just be a great, I thought, Corey, you just offer great perspectives on different things, even though I don't always agree with you. I think that's great about our relationship, our friendship. So,
absolutely.
Going into real quick, so Grownish, season 2's coming back. I feel like I have the wrong audience, though, because I feel like you guys probably don't even watch that show.
Absolutely not.
Unless your daughter watches it, Corey, maybe. I think that would be a great show.
My daughter watches it, and I definitely stay abreast because there's a lot of crucial information.
Yes, there is. I mean, to be honest, like the show, I wish that show literally goes through everything. So just to give you a backdrop on it, you know about the show Blackish, right, Snap?
Absolutely.
So Yara Shahidi, the eldest daughter, or the eldest child, went off to college, Cal U, so now it's called Grownish.
Right.
And she's living her life, her best life in college, but she's going through the things that people go through in college. But I felt like I was seeing my life, like even parts of my life. And it brought me back to my college days. But it was just something nostalgic about it. And I like her as an actress. And so, it's the one thing I think about that show, which is super dope, is it just because you're not 18 doesn't necessarily mean that you can't relate to the show or have some semblance of relation to it. And so the season 2 trailer is out. It's coming out in January, and they remixed A Different World. I know you used to watch A Different World.
That was all right. It's a different world. Well,
yes.
Okay, yep.
Yes.
Kareem Hardy.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
yep.
there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
And you watched Different World too, Corey, right?
Not that much. I was outside running around and chasing.
Same thing, but I would catch snippets, but yeah, but right.
I can't with y'all.
Yeah.
I'm over y'all.
I can't
yeah, so I just wanted to bring it up for anyone that watches Grownish season 2. Watch the trailer. It's super dope. They just pay homage to A Different World. I mean, maybe we're dating ourselves. A Different World was like what? Early 90s. When was the Cosby Show out? Late 80s, early 90s, because they basically were. It was almost similarly a spinoff. Because what's her name?
Right, was going to school.
Was going to school there. I forgot the girl's name, but it was Zoe Kravitz's mother. Why am I forgetting her name?
Lisa
Bonet. Yes, there we go. That's not her name, her character's name, but anywho. So I want to get into the thick of what we were going to talk about today for culture. And we're talking about all things Jay-Z today. And the reason why I want to talk about things Jay-Z is because I respect Jay-Z. I think a lot of people do respect Jay-Z. But Jay-Z is also someone that you don't hear about in the media unless he's getting sued, if he does something on social media, because he rarely tweets. Something, he keeps his private life to himself, which I think is, I respect. And I think it's super dope. He kind of controls the narrative. So there's 3 kind of different unrelated stories that I want to bring up and get, y'all opinion on, just because of, I think a lot of times the media and us, the interwebs, people that are on Twitter, people on Instagram, we can be the judge and the jury without even having all the facts to different situations. So the first thing I wanted to throw out there was Jay-Z appeared, Meek Mill dropped his new album called Championships, and Jay-Z appeared on a track with Rick Ross and Meek Mill. And so I'll insert the audio clip.
No red hat, don't Michael and Prince me and yay. They separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. I ain't one of these house You bought my house like a resort. My house bigger than yours, my spot. Come on, man.
But people kept trying to hone in on Jay, saying that he was going in on Kanye because, they've had their differences. Kanye has been known to have his quote-unquote rants about, things that he's going through, mental illness, and even not calling Jay out, but like mentioning Jay at some of his shows when he was on tour about not seeing the family, their kids not playing together, all this other stuff. And so a lot of people just assumed that Jay-Z and Beyonce distanced themselves from Kanye and their political views with 45. I just don't like saying his name and all that jazz. And so my question to you all, first question is, why do we as black people pit each other up against each other in a negative light?
You can go, sir.
Corey, your thoughts, because I feel like you.
Want me to go first?
Yes.
I was looking for you, but I have a couple. I think it's has a few heads, and I think one of the pieces is I think often we're afraid to go against the majority. So it's easier for us to compete against people or beat down people that we think we know where their weaknesses lie. And I think it's very sad and it's disturbing. And just like you mentioned, I think in your introduction here about being, what is it?
Not black people being all monolithic. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, monolithic. I think as black people, we actually have many, many different dimensions, and we need to utilize them more and show them and embrace them. But we often fight against each other, and clearly this is not a new thing. But even in recent hip-hop years, whether it was Jay and Nas, Biggie and Pac, Drake, Meek, Nicki and Cardi, Nicki and Lil' Kim, and even in athletics, there's always who's the best. Is it Jordan? Is it LeBron? Is it Kobe? Is it LeBron? You never hear who was better, Larry Bird or who?
Kareem. Right.
Or you don't hear white versus white comparison.
Correct. That's the point that I wanted to make. Yeah.
You don't hear Tom Brady versus Joe Montana as much as you would hear who's better, Randall Cunningham or Michael Vick. So I think the powers to be and ourselves, we often are so quick to compete against ourselves, but we don't work together or unify to be better as a whole.
And that's a great point on this. So some of the things I think about. Well, Snap, go ahead. I want your thoughts.
No, great point. Because, but again, I would think sometimes that may be your environment, those closest to you. So you're always going to compete against those who look like you or whatever. But from the understanding, I get it. Even businesses, it's like in the business world, it's two of us going out for this same position. But now, before we could actually get the position, we're going to start talking shit about each other so that we can get the position. Mm-hmm. And so, again, it becomes that whole,
But just similar to, so even when you think about politics, right? So it gets really, I feel like it always gets nasty. So the reason why, like, I'm looking at Jay-Z and Kanye, they're both wealthy, right? They came from different circumstances. Instead of people embracing that, and it was the point that Corey made about unification, it's systematic to this point where instead of supporting you, even if we're going against each other, Snap, instead of supporting you, if I lose, right, like if it's a win or lose situation, instead of supporting you, I feel some sort of way towards you, right, like because I didn't get it or I'm not being the one. And it's just like Jay-Z and Kanye are competing on the same playing fields. They are both in the music industry, but they both have a platform. They both have an influence. They have different businesses that are netting them money, almost damn near billionaires, if not billionaires. Why is that the first place that everyone wants to go? I just sometimes think, so this was a question I had when Corey was talking. Do you think certain things have dumbed us down at this point? Because if that's the first place that people go, that's low-hanging fruit.
When you say, where are you actually referring to? Is it easier for us to attack each other? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like instead of them saying like, oh man, like because the lyric.
No red hat, don't Michael and Prince me and yay. They separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. I ain't one of these house. You bought my house like a resort. My house bigger than yours, my spot. Come on, man.
Jay was using Michael and Prince. Michael and Prince were iconic artists, and they still are. But you can't compare the two. Right?
But they always did. It was always who, and I think that kind of drove Prince a little bit because Prince said we knew Prince had his own thing. Prince was not only lyrically a genius, but his exceptional skills on guitar or whatever you want to call that. I don't know, what was it, bass guitar or acoustic guitar? He can do it all. Mm-hmm. But then to turn around and ball out, you know, like you hear the little stories about how athletic he was. But we didn't see none of that. We saw the dudes in heels, and we just knew he was short. But again, then so Prince wears heels and screams. Michael, we may think he touched little boy. So and again, none of this happened, but it was painted on us to where we remember it was you either loved Michael Jackson or you thought he was Wacko Jacko.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it was like, but everywhere you turn, it was like, are you with this artist or are you with this artist? And
very
even in the music, yeah, it's like, are you with Lil Kim or are you with this person?
But friendly competition is fine, but when it starts to get to the point of, I just trying to figure out like what's the bigger resolve, right? Like the low hanging fruit is like when you brought up Corey, Cardi B and Nicki, right? These women, like there's room for both of them.
Absolutely,
there is room for both of them, but it's
and it's often your supporters. Because your supporters will say something and then get you into a whole nother beef. Because, again, who's to say that Cardi and Nicki directly said something to each other? It was probably a Cardi fan or a Nicki fan who just went off the top, and now there's a whole trend, there's a whole,
But there's a lot of ego involved. I think there's ego involved in a lot of stuff. I mean, Corey, were you about to say something before? Because I was going to ask a question in relation to, like...
Yeah, I think everybody's making valid points, and it's just... Obviously, it's unfortunate, but I do think that the point I was going to make was there obviously is enough space at the top for many successful artists, athletes, and professionals. But often, even in my line of work, there's usually, and especially across the government, and even in many private sectors, I see normally there's only one or two minority black men or women in those senior positions.
Right.
So they in the corporate world, the private sector, and even in government, it gets very competitive. Where in athletics and entertainment, I think if you have a certain skill set and level of talent, there's enough listeners for all the great artists.
Absolutely.
The question I was going to ask is what could be a potential resolve? I know this is just kind of kumbaya, but what is a resolve for us to stop doing that, right? Like, do you think that's something that's been implanted in us for
generations? Generations. I mean, remember, you were darker, you had to be outside. If you were a little lighter, you could be inside. But wow, when you talk about it could start as something like this, right? And this is how you sell stuff. We're so busy into selling something. Like, here's an example. We have artist A and artist B, and your promo would be who wore it better. So now automatically it's implanted in my brain. So I'm looking to say, well, who wore it better? And so because you can get me my thought process to go like that with just a pure question, I think that plays a big role as well. Because again, people talk and people say things about how they feel. They talk and they support who they want to support. And when you are going against something that they don't, or you could just say something that it could be true, but because you said it against somebody they support, now there's hate. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how we fix that, but
like even beyond like the artist level, you know what I mean? Like, do you sometimes, Corey, have you seen this because I know you mentioned like you mentor, how do you correct that on that level, right? The level that we can control.
Well, I think one of the points Jay-Z, and I think we'll get into it when you speak about his arbitration and his legal cases, mm-hmm. I think one of the issues is Jay-Z is trying to do with Tidal and some of the beef he had with Kanye when he was trying to get Kanye to come to Tidal, is he's trying to get more black and powerful positions so we can work together, as opposed to working for the individuals that have been making billions of dollars over the last 20, 30, 40 years off of the backs and the minds and the creative energies of
these artists, black artists. Absolutely. Right.
No, that's a good point. I do agree with that, and I think I've fallen rain to that, right? Like there was one point where I stopped paying for Tidal, like using Tidal as an example, but this is a business that he got for us, like for us, meaning like black and brown people, but for black and brown artists that he either signed or he worked with, and for them to get higher percentages, and they were getting, I can't even remember the breakdown of Spotify, but it was, I mean, barely chump change on what an artist would get per stream on the platform. And obviously there's been lawsuits and stuff like that, but people have bashed Tidal, right? Like, people would try to find ways, and he's mentioned this, people would try to find ways to skim or get around listening to certain things that were only on Tidal and not just plain out support. And so, I think it just runs deeper, but I thought it was an interesting playoff or just umbrella to start off with, and it was related to Jay-Z.
I don't think Jay and Kanye has been right since Kanye walked on that stage when Taylor Swift won that best music video.
You don't think so?
I think that because he put Beyonce in a situation there.
Yeah, but Beyonce brought her, I think, back out.
Yeah, but it just, they
can't blame her
hit
for
home,
that.
right? You can't, but because there was so much flack behind
she was
that.
in the middle of it,
yeah, and then Jay was like, "Yo, I mean, I'm pretty sure they talk, and Kanye do some bullshit sometimes, and for you to do something like that, you put him in a situation." And so I just think, I don't know. But again, these are both competitors. These are, we're talking about two great artists at the top of their game. They both were in the fashion. They both are in the music. So we're going to naturally compare, well, what was better, Rockaware or whatever Kanye? Well, then again, though, Kanye don't really have his line out. We know that there's some financial stuff going on there.
No, he's selling.
But then he's selling sneakers.
Yeah, he has his clothes with Adidas, too.
There you go.
That's what made him.
There you go.
I'm thinking like a billionaire.
I'm thinking I'm waiting for Kanye to come out with some type Versace shit, that kind of shit. Like,
yeah, I think
you can't be charging $1,000 for no sneakers. Like, come on,
and people
man.
are buying it, but they're not charging $1,000.
But you know what I'm saying, yeah.
But to the
back to the real quick, back to the monolithic thing and the black nuances, though. I agree that both Kanye and Jay-Z are both great artists, but I think to compare them, I think they just have such different lanes. Like,
yes, like Michael and Prince.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say Michael and Prince are closer in lanes than Jay-Z and Kanye. I could, some people might differ, but I think Jay-Z, his fan base, at least back when, in the early '90s, Reasonable Doubt era, or even some of these tracks he's had in the last 5-10 years, they're a little different than what Kanye's putting out. And
right.
When it comes to clothes, I think Kanye attracted different client base.
Right.
He's trying to get on that Fashion Week stuff.
Right. Well, so
right.
So perfect segue. Speaking of fashion, so Jay-Z had demanded a stop to arbitration with the company that bought Rockaware Iconics brand group because of racial discrimination, and so. I don't necessarily know how arbitration works. That's basically in lieu of a lawsuit, right? Like, or going to trial, right? Arbitration people. There's a group of people, right? Corey, is that how it works? Arbitration.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not a legal.
Right, but I think that's when I would always read like legal documents or like terms and conditions. You opt for arbitration versus going to trial. So Jay-Z is in the middle of this lawsuit with Iconics over the licensing as it relates to Rockaware with Iconics who bought it, and he felt like the panel that was supposed to deliberate on this, because I think they're suing him for like $500 million, like something stupid.
It was like $200 million.
Oh, $200 million.
There you go.
He was just like, he didn't say too white, but he felt like it was racial discrimination, and he won the delay because he just didn't feel like, without having any person of color on panels, and this has been an issue in the past with even cases, period, like juries.
Right.
He felt like they wouldn't have been able to make a fair decision.
Right.
And so, but do you think if it wasn't Jay-Z, would they have cared?
I don't think it would matter in any other place, but because it's Jay-Z, because the money is there.
I was like, because he has the resources.
But he has the resources. Mm-hmm. But this could be good. This could be big because, again, you bring the awareness. I mean, we've been judged and juried for years, and we're supposed to be judged by, peers of your liking or of your being. And that's never the case. We always are judged and thrown in, and it's always usually all white panels. But, usually we're sentenced even harder than even white kids doing the same shit that we do. Right. But again, it's because there are no black folk in the jurors. And then there are times where when there are black folks in the juries, you always hear the stories later about how they felt pressured to make this decision. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think when you add 2 or 3, 4, 5 black folks in a jury of 12, now it's a little easier. Or I'm just saying maybe it doesn't have to be black, but of mixed, race or, something like that. So.
Wait, can I jump in real quick? Because I wanted to clarify. So I wanted to kind of actually talk about what the actual lawsuit is. It wasn't clear earlier.
Well,
okay.
Before you do, if you don't mind, let me jump right behind that because he made several powerful points, and I just wanted to agree with him real quick and add actually to it. So yes, I totally agree with Snap. As far as Jay-Z, it's going to be obviously because his financial backing and support. He's going to be heard. The important piece about that is, from a legal perspective, is the precedence that it will make. So now moving forward, others with less access to power or money have the legal precedence to request a more diverse board or a more diverse hearing, whether it's a criminal case or if it's a civil matter.
Absolutely.
But we hope, though, Corey, right?
Well, right.
You hope.
Right.
Well, you'd hope, but you have the legal precedence based.
That's true. Yep.
You can revert back, and you can have your lawyers, or you can retain.
That's true.
You can retain a lawyer because he's willing to fight it now because he can revert back to the
and reference precedent. Like, this date, this loss. Right. That's true.
So, and just so we make sure we have a clear picture. There was 200 lawyers, that were interviewed, and only 3 were black.
Oh.
And one of the black lawyers was a black man who actually had done contract work with Iconic.
Right. So it was already biased from the beginning.
Potentially.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Reportedly, yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That piece I didn't know. So just to clarify, so Iconics sued in public court and alleged that spent over $200 million a decade ago to sell Rock Nation baseball caps and other merchandise. They felt like Jay-Z undermined the agreement by allowing MLB or Major League Basketball to exploit the same intellectual property that was conveyed in the deal that Iconics received. So that's essentially what's going on. 3 out of 200? Damn.
Yeah.
Nah.
But yeah.
But they'll blame it on because we're just not interested in law. We don't have time to go to school for 6 years. We don't have time to be doctors. They
could have found more people.
Right. Of course.
So I didn't know with arbitration. I didn't know it had to be lawyers. That's interesting. So these are offering different perspectives that I never really thought about. So the last piece, and to your point, I like that you said that it sets a legal precedent after watching How to Get Away with Murder so much, and they do reference a lot of like precedents to try to win their cases.
Absolutely.
That makes
They'll
perfect
go back
sense.
to a case, right? That was usually one.
Right, exactly. You're right. And so the fact that if it has to be Jay-Z, that has to be the sacrificial lamb to get it done for us. Right. I'm all for it, but people will always try to find ways of being like, oh, Jay-Z this, Jay-Z that. But I feel like he's definitely doing a lot of things to at least advocate for black and brown people,
Absolutely.
Like the Trayvon Martin documentary. He did, what's the recent one that he just did? There was another one he did. Khalif Browder. But yes, those two. So I think, at this point, like I'm definitely, in my mind, I'm just like, whatever I can do to support black businesses, right? Why not do that? Yes, he has a lot more money than me, and I may not be able to go to every concert that he has, but there's little ways to support, and I think we just need to kind of be mindful and thoughtful of that versus like, why am I giving him my money? It's the whole idea, like, we'll spend our money on Nike, and Nike has publicly supported people that don't support black and brown people, but then we're mad, and that's the point Jay-Z makes, but y'all don't want to support black businesses,
right? And see the give back, right? When you hear about these artists, you see how you mentioned earlier, when you hear about Jay-Z, it's usually because the Brooklyn Nets done lost again, or something in his social media, or something negative, right? But we don't talk about the give back. I mean, him and his lady did a On the Run 2 tour again across the country.
Oh, yep.
And at every one of those shows, they gave away a scholarship for over $100,000. And nobody covered this. Like, you know what I mean? Unless you...
They did, but it wasn't as big as, like, him getting probed by the SEC, So yes. So minimal attention was paid to that.
And I think that they know how to work the minimal. And so when you get more of the negative, you're always going to just think about more of the negative than any of the positive.
Yeah, I think that's with anything. The last piece of this is so comedian, and you both have children. When is too far? So this is comedian.
His name is.
He goes by. Hold on. Funky Deneva. It's a guy. So this comedian named Funky Deneva basically got what they're calling a lot of unwanted attention after he appeared on this person's show called The Queen's Court, T.S. Madison's show. I don't know who T.S. Madison is. T.S. Madison's show, The Queen's Court, and the guests were taking shots at Jay-Z's looks, and Deneva decided to bring in Blue Ivy, the 7-year-old's daughter, calling the child ugly.
I don't know if you agree with me, but it's always like usually you have a crew, right? You got a girl crew, you got a guy crew, but it's usually one person that take it too far. And I think that's all he did as a comedian. See, I don't take comedians seriously, right?
Right.
And so when you make something like that, I think this benefits him because now we all talking about.
I don't know if it does.
Well, I know there was a lot of negative flag, but guess what? We talking about this guy. Right. But I just think it was a joke made too far. You stay away from women and children is what they say. But then again, though, Jay-Z was one of the first people to start some crazy stuff like that. He told Nas that he was in the back seat of skeeting on his baby seat. So this is what I'm saying. You can't throw something out there and then when it come back in whatever way. And this wasn't even that crazy. He just said Blue Ivy was ugly. We know that's a pretty little girl. But, so I just think when you throw something out there and it come back, that's like all these rappers talk about they want to be Trump. And now that Trump is in office, now we're like, wait a minute. He's the most evil man in the world.
Yep.
And it's like, come on, man.
So and those lyrics are still on wax out there.
So I don't know why he's getting the flack because he's a comedian.
Well, social media went in on him and they were like, she's a defenseless child. Like, how do you bring... What are your thoughts, Corey?
I could probably argue for or against, but I'm gonna go against Snap on this one, just because I think culturally we have such a difficult time with our young black women and actually all black women,
there you
and
go,
brown women, with understanding and believing in themselves
there
and
you
that
go.
they're beautiful
and
that
I
they're
didn't
beautiful.
Take it that way. You're right.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, the joke was always Jay-Z's not the most
handsomest man in the world. Right.
Right. So then when you go then and say his daughter looks like him, and now you have this young girl growing up and
thinking that, right,
potentially thinking that, or being told, or even people in our community saying she's not she's not beautiful, she's not attractive. Obviously, we all know beauty is more than just your physical, your outer appearance. But we got to be careful, and I think. Whether you're comedians or whatever line of work, I think, and if you read the article, the individual, the comedian, apologizes.
Right.
He said he crossed the line many times, but this is the only time he's really
willing, like he's not to stand by it, right? He said he stands on all the things he said except for he can't stand on this one.
And I don't think it's just because he's scared of Jay-Z crushing his career. I think that he probably took a step back and looked at it from a parental, perspective, and from our youth needing to know they're beautiful regardless to what their shade of shade of skin is, or maybe some physical features. Beauty is far deeper than the physical. So that's
I agree with that, Mr. Harris. I want to withdraw my earlier statement.
Oh my gosh, no! But you may
withdraw it
but I understand. Like, I think the point that you made is like, but people have made comments, in the past about different things, and I'm sure like at that time they weren't thinking about it,
right
when he said,
and I agree, and I agree with Snap there too. Let me make a point though for that. Snap makes a very valid point what Jay-Z said.
Right.
That was obviously
about Nas, yeah.
Right, but I think one of the things Jay-Z has been standing on for the last 10 years or so, at least the last 5 years, and I hope all of us are, myself included, is that we're continuing to grow. Yeah. There's things I would have done 15 years ago, or may have done 15 years ago, I wouldn't do now. And so, even though Jay-Z said,
because I know him, so in my mind went somewhere. I was like, oh, Corey.
Hey, come on now.
I got you.
But yeah. So we and I think as a community we have to forgive each other and understand we have to grow. And it's interesting. Even the point you make again, Georgette, is you know me, but yet we do know each other. But a lot of people know me from 20 years ago, and often we know our friends from 20 years ago, and we still look at them that way. We have to be cognizant and cautious. We grow, so we have to allow our people and our community to grow.
I wholeheartly agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, and to that small point before we go into the last segment, I had told Corey too. I was just like, when people, I was like, I remember how I meant to say this in the beginning about Corey, but when I met Corey, I had this idea of Corey, right? And so, but as you get to know certain people, Corey will be very braggadocious with it and overly confident or just have this demeanor, ego in front of him, walking with him. But when you actually sit and talk to Corey or have a conversation or allow yourself to get past that point, Corey is one of my closest guy friends, right? And so and I appreciate him and I respect him. And to his point, people would hold on, and I'll tease him sometimes. I'm just like, okay, Corey, you're this from whatever, and sometimes I could still look at you that way. But I'll joke with Corey about that. But if someone was to say that now, I would call them out and say I'm sure you don't know who he is now because you probably haven't had a real conversation with him. So
I appreciate that.
No, I'm being serious though. I've seen Corey in ways that people haven't seen. Corey's not going to open up to everybody. Everyone doesn't need to see who you are growth-wise, evolution-wise, especially if they're the ones that usually judge you prior to even getting to know you or wanting to get to know the evolved version of yourself now. So, okay. So going into the last segment called All of the Things. It's usually something personal, stuff that happened in our day, week, or just stuff that we're going through. Overthinkers Anonymous. So... y'all, I be going through the motions, man, and I've been going through the motions, and I've offline with Corey about this. So, as a woman that has feelings, and I'm emotionally charged when it comes to a lot of different things, I also love hard, like hard as well, right? So if I'm feeling somebody, but the one thing that I definitely struggle with, and I'm sure you all have come across this in your own lives, relationships, romance, just overthinking things, and a lot of times, I forgot what the quote was. I forgot if it was most of the time we think all these disasters in our, I think it was Mark Twain, we think all these disasters in our mind, and a lot of the times none of this stuff happens or comes, it never manifests. And so I've definitely been struggling with some overthinking, and I know a lot of times, and I told Corey this earlier, I was just like one of my guy friends, I'm feeling, but for my own insecurities and other things that I'm realizing as I go through this process of vulnerability and being in transition, I'm becoming more in tune with being uncomfortable, is there's just certain things I don't like, and that doesn't sit well with me. So when someone becomes inconsistent immediately, I start to think all these things. Is it me? Are they ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? Fuck them. It just starts spiraling, right? And I start raging in my mind. And there have been a lot of times, and I swear to both of you all, and I'm so grateful that I never opened my mouth and said what I really wanted to say at the time I was raging, where they would come back and be like, my bad, someone died, my bad, this happened. And I felt horrible inside, because I'm just like, imagine if, Snap, you and I were in a relationship and you were going through some shit and I just came raging at you off some selfish shit, and I know you've probably dealt with this. And then only to hear that the shit that you were really dealing with was selfish of me to even kind of say to you. So I was kind of curious from the man's perspective, because men are usually on the receiving end of the overthinking. Have you all ever been in situations where you're the overthinker?
Okay, I'm gonna just go really quick because
okay.
Snap. You take a whole.
Yeah. See, go ahead, player. Go ahead.
He said he wants you to take as much time as you need.
No. Okay. No. I just thought she was cheating. I'm gonna just leave it at that. And then, because I drove my damn self crazy. But then the whole thing was, I was like, because I just thought you was cheating, I'm gonna leave you. But then I was thinking about, who she with now. So it was dumb.
Was she cheating?
I don't even know. I just know what, because I was so selfish back in the days. I was like, if I got to think about it, I don't need to be with you. And so that was, it was like, if I have any kind of...
I second that motion.
Oh, y'all all get on my damn nerves.
Yeah, so, go ahead, Mr. Harris. Go ahead, player.
No, you keep going. And then I'll make one point. It was interesting when I found out the show was, Black Nuances. I had to look up and refresh my memory of nuances, and it was talking about, I think it said it was discussing different variations of communication. One of the definitions was, and it was talking about verbal communication, facial gestures or facial expressions, and then body language. And I think overall, just communication. I think we continue to struggle, and we're continuing to improve as well on our communication and our feelings, and be able to communicate our feelings to people we care about. Facing rejection. I think to what you're saying, and I don't want to take words in your mouth, but we as men, and especially as Black men, we don't like rejection. And I know I don't like, I know I don't like rejection, but it's easier to hide it by just moving on.
There you go, player.
I'm over both. But that's why I needed Corey on here, because this motherfucker.
Right.
Y'all be killing me. Because Corey will keep it real, but then it starts triggering things that I want to start asking you all from a woman's perspective, wanting to understand like the cis heterosexual male perspective.
But sometimes there is no explanation. It's just I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to get the words out. But there is no explanation.
I think I'm not sure if I can explain what you're trying to say, but what I know to be true, and I'm sure you may have had experiences such as this, is as speaking from a man's perspective, we want to feel, or we believe we deserve to feel needed.
There you go.
There you go. And to Snap's point when he says he didn't know if she was cheating, well, you know what? If you're not, if we're not comfortable, like absolutely comfortable, we know that you're all the way into us, as opposed to, doing the investigative research that women do.
Right. We don't do that. Right.
So we'll pull back because one, we don't want to deal with that pain. And y'all women, I salute y'all. Y'all are willing to do the research and then deal with the pain.
Right. Invest. Right.
Invest, and then do that, and then deal with that pain. And I felt that pain before, so let me just put that out for a record. And I know how bone crushing it is, and I don't want to do it again.
Right. Okay. So if y'all felt that pain, why is it that some of you all still continue to create that pain for other?
You quickly forget how that pain feels, because then some of us will have that pain from one and go messing with this one just to get over the pain, but don't really want nothing to do with this one. It's not like I'm getting out of this pain to get into a great situation. Mm-hmm. No, sometimes I just need a passerby. I don't even know if it's a passerby, but I just need somebody to fill this time until I can get right. And
right. And Snap, you have a child, but you have a boy, girl, or both?
I have 2 daughters and a son.
Yeah. And so, and I think before you even answer your question, Georgette, let me answer it. We do have to do a better job as men not to pass on that pain, because it's disgusting. It really is. And I know I passed on the pain before. And all I can say to the women and to the listeners out there, the female listeners out here that are dealing with men and experiencing similar situations, I got to charge you with a little bit of responsibility to before, and even you, Georgette, before you invest your energy and your time and your feelings into somebody, you got to be cautious and cognizant who you're dealing with. And I think you can, if you do a little more research and investigation on the front side, you'll have to do a little less on the back side.
Player, you with me. I'm just saying,
Oh, my gosh.
No, for
women,
real.
I mean, listen, as a woman, I don't like rejection, and I know I actually act out when I feel rejected, and I've blocked numbers. I've acted like an asshole. I don't know what it is. Because when I feel rejected, I almost feel like there's something that you're like, it's as if you're repelled by me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I can only speak for me in my periods of time where I have felt rejected, and it does not feel good.
I am never gonna go looking through no phone or nothing like that.
Oh yeah, no. I don't do that. I don't do. But I do feel like, obviously, and the only reason why I keep defining it this way is like cis heterosexual men, cisgender, like you all both identify with the sex you were born with, and y'all are both heterosexual men. So that's why I say cis hetero. I don't want to group everyone up as the same, but with cis hetero men, I feel like you all you all create pain to handle or avoid feeling the feelings that come with being rejected.
I would, in general, I would agree with that, Georgette, and apologize.
Absolutely. See, there we go, right? Because I was stuck there. I didn't know where to go. I wanted to say, like,
I can't stand you,
Because
Corey.
really, we talk about things like this, and I try and give the perspective of what I went through and what I'm going through. But in all of it, forget to say that I really do apologize to those people that I put through that BS to get to where I am today.
Can I tell you, sometimes the apology doesn't fucking help.
And that's why sometimes
Because
we don't even say it. Why waste the time?
No. Because you know why? It matters when it happens. You all want to wait 5-10 years later to apologize. You all walk away from, because you all don't need closure and and we want closure. You hitting me up 6 years later saying, like, I'm sorry? Like,
I did
my
that
man,
once too.
where were you 6 years ago? Why couldn't you tell me months after that? Like, at least let me know, like, it wasn't you, it was me, and I wasn't mature. No, we don't get that either. Okay.
I'm done.
I know you are. Shit.
Mr. Harris, you are awesome. I just want to say it was great having you today.
Why are you calling him Mr. Harris?
Because
Georgette,
Yes.
you are. Hey, by the way, Snap, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure I look forward to linking with you and the three of us.
Whenever he
together.
comes down here.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So I appreciate you guys having me, and I think that we need to continue this dialogue.
Absolutely.
Who you have on the show? I think these are really important issues that we need to grow from.
Oh yeah. Well, listen. I wish we were able to take multiple callers, or maybe one day when you come down here, because the episode I wanted to do with your ass on it was the male ego is fragile part 2. Maybe we'll do a part 3. Yeah, that ass. You have to come back for that, because I always talk about how Corey, like, I was like toxic masculinity and how it's just so.
I've been there.
Ooh,
We all been there.
But anyway, we'll leave that for another time. Corey, do you have any social media you want to share?
Yeah, I'll keep it light. You can share my IG. I'm Corey Mentors, and I'm just always trying to put positive energy out there and share my growth and help others grow. So I'm at Corey Mentors, and if you have any suggestions for me and any way I can motivate and inspire young black and brown boys and girls, definitely share that with me. And if you need any motivational speakers to come and to speak anywhere in the country, I'm available.
Yeah, I love that. Corey, thank you.
That is awesome. Corey, is that with a Corey or Cory?
Corey Mentors. Corey Mentors.
Yep, that's what's up. I want to follow you from our social media account. Corey, thank you so much, and I'll hit you up later.
Okay, y'all have a great afternoon, okay, guys?
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
So, shout out to Corey for joining us. Snap, how can they find us and you?
On the social media platforms, let's go with Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Black Nuanced Pod. We going with social medias, Black Nuanced, right? On IG, on Twitter.
Snap. Okay. So Twitter and Instagram, Black Nuanced Pod. That's how you find us.
Did I tell you I was a crack baby?
Okay, I'm not.
See, my
listen,
mind ain't
nope.
right. My mind.
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Just type in Black and Nuanced Pod, or you could do Black and the + Nuance, but Black and Nuanced Podcast, and you can find us on those platforms. You can find me Twitter, Georgette, Instagram, Georgette Star with 2 R's, and GeorgettePierre.com. And we are out of here, episode 15. Yeah.
Another good one.
All right, peace.